What's up, everybody? Johnny B here. Welcome back to the Worship Nugs podcast. We are. It's fine. We are. That's how we do it around here. It's very which is casual for all you millennials out there. I'm an Enneagram 7, but I'll wing Gen Z. Right? Yeah. We're we're here at SALT Conference in Nashville, Tennessee. It is the place to be if you're a church creative. There's so much life happening around here as production teams, creative teams are getting poured into. So it's just really cool. So we wanted to take the opportunity to have some really great conversations. If you're new to the Worship Nugs podcast, which is everyone but my mom at this point, maybe Aunt Sharon, are you still watching? I don't know. We'll see. Aunt Sharon subscribed. She was my first subscription. So she texted me. She said, "Hey nephew, and so shout out Aunt Sharon for subscribing to the conversations. But the whole point for Worship Nuggets is we're just on a quest. We're doing the Lord's work to try to find the next great leadership nugget, thought, inspiration, motivation, dare I say, revelation from the Lord, words of knowledge, wisdom, Shekinah glory. I don't know. But we're here with Ryan from the Church Collective, amongst many other things. This guy is just incredible. And Dustin Pead is here as well. Dustin's speaking at a session here at SALT. We've been friends for a long time. He's been in the church creative space for a long time. He's got the gray hair in his beard to prove it. You're looking all right. You're good. Yeah. You must have like a double portion of the anointing to keep you young.
Yeah. Young. All right. I don't know. What do we want to talk about?
We want to talk about
Nephilim.
So we have some theories on the rapture that maybe we'll save that to the end.
Yeah.
Have some theories. So I won't. Like well, yeah.
Right.
Ooh, say that one more time.
Just like the rapture, save it for the end.
Ooh, that's good. That's good. So we'll share the mic, but because that's the golden nuggets we're talking about. But somebody's phone's on. It's fine. No, speaking of the rapture, we actually won't really talk about it, but this story is worth sharing. Just to kind of set the tone for this whole conversation. There's a preacher, I won't say his name because that wouldn't be nice, but he had this whole thing back in like the early 2000s where, now mind you, he might be right. I could be wrong, but he has this whole theory around the bumblebees and how the bumblebees will let us know when the rapture is happening.
Okay. I believe it already.
Yeah. So you heard it here first. TikTok does not know. Bumblebees know when the rapture is happening, but no. So I want to talk to both of you, kind of get some thoughts today as we're here at this church creative conference, and we're talking about creativity in the church. There's such a beautiful moment last night, the opening of the conference, where there was this visual illustration of kind of the internal struggle, if you will, that we go through as creatives, where there's this call to create, but then there's deadlines and there's pressure and all the things. So I want to kind of dive into that. But we'll start with you, Ryan, and then I want to hear from you as well, Dustin, just about some things right now as you look over the church in the creative space that seems to be working. What are we doing really well as church creatives? And the second half of that question is where's the opportunity we have as church creatives to grow in this season?
I think we are in the messy middle. From a guy that teaches I've got to teach a couple classes for worship ministries, and what's kind of interesting to me at this point is these young people. I don't know if I'm supposed to look at the camera. If I'm supposed to look at you. We'll kind of go back and forth, but yeah, as I'm looking at this, you guys are looking at me. I feel weird about that, so I'll probably look at you guys.
Yeah.
What's fascinating to me, and I've done it for a couple years now, when I teach the capstone worship leading course that I teach, we go through a section where we try to figure out what does it look like to find a job as a worship pastor. So I go to all the usual websites and all that you would go to find postings for job sites, and without fail, I've done it 4 times now. I've taught that class. Literally every student in the room is shocked that there would even be a website to get a job at a church.
Wow.
And so I'm excited for what that means. I'm a little confused as a guy who, grew up in the church, started as an intern, ended up taking over everything except for kids ministry, essentially, from being faithful to church. But I was well aware of all the church staffing websites and finding jobs and looking for that. And then talking to these worship majors, being like, why are you're majoring in worship, but you're not aware of finding a job in a church? And they're like, yeah, no, I don't know if I want to be a paid worship leader. I'll just I'll find a church, and the church that I like, I'll come and I'll lead at it.
Wow.
And it's like interesting. Like it kind of hurts my brain a little bit because it's like that's not where I've come from. I'm 44, been at it for 25 years in church, and that's not where I've been. I say all that to say, I think the values are. I think we're right in the middle of. There's still some amazing, beautiful, creative things that can be done. All kinds of high technology, like amazing things that can be done. And then there's a lot of people, a generation of people coming through me like, yeah, I don't know if I need any of that.
Wow.
So I'm just gonna. Furthermore, I don't even know if I want the church to pay me to do it. I'd rather just like show up.
Wow.
So it'll be interesting to see what that susses out over the next 10 years.
Wow. Yeah. No, I love that. Like, I kind of come from the other end of the coin, kind of similar to that conversation where I didn't really, I knew I wanted to do vocational ministry. Like I felt called to it very young, but I didn't know the pathway to do that because I don't come from a vocational ministry family. I mean, my family went to church, and my dad was a Pentecostal preacher, but it was just a different day, a different time. But yeah, I think that's super interesting. One of the things when it comes to the creativity of the church that I've kind of been having conversations with, and I want to hear from you as well on this, Dustin. But there's that scripture that says, where I look for you in the fire, I look for you in the wind, but where I found you was the still small voice. And so I think there are moments for the lights and the fog and all that. I think helps point people. It creates an experience, right, that helps point people to Jesus. But I think ultimately, sometimes this is a hot take, and I'll throw it to you on this, Dustin. The most creative thing we can do is just be simple and still, and just communicate clearly. Can you chime in on that?
Yeah, you're talking about one thing that we're doing right. I think one thing we're doing right now, and specifically in the church world, in the worship space, is I think we're getting better at presence, and not necessarily Holy Spirit presence, but more so like church staff and worship teams and production teams and communication teams, just being present and kind of like we were joking about the gray in our beards about like this is how long I've been in ministry, kind of thing. And when I was thinking about that, I was looking at my friend Ryan over here and going, okay, at some point his striving ceased. And I look at that and go, I think that's where we're at in local church ministry right now too. Yeah. I think striving is ceasing, which I think is beautiful and much needed. 20 years in local church ministry. I think that I think what we need is obviously we need presence of the Lord. I think we just need the presence with people more than anything else. And I love what I'm seeing right now. The good that I'm seeing in church and worship and creative leadership right now is these full-time ministers, creative ministers, that are being sensitive and empathetic to what's happening around them, not only in the world and our nation, but sensitive to what's happening in the people in the body, like in their local body, in their local expression, being sensitive to that. And I told you this before, Johnny. I used to be Johnny B's boss.
You hired me.
I did hire Johnny B.
Good taste.
I said, hey, man, I've always told worship leaders this, that 90% of your leadership is off stage. Only the small 10% is on stage. Now that 10% is what 90% of the people see, but 90% of your impact is off stage. And what I've always appreciated about Johnny B is his lobby presence. And that sounds like a dumb, simple thing. But leading the tone in that, and setting the tone in that, and leading the charge in that, just being present with the people and learning how to be a good listener, I think is, now we're crossing over maybe into what we need more of. But I think a lot of the church creatives now see that need and are beginning to kind of go, wait, what now? Oh, let me lean into that.
Right. I've got a phrase that I tell my students often. It's like the key to the whole thing is you have to care about people. Exactly. And then we follow up, but you actually have to care about people. Because I think there's plenty of leadership books and quotes and all these like podcasts and all that about like leadership, and it's great. But I've come from a generation of executive pastors and stuff over me that it's like, you're just using a compliment sandwich on me right now. Like you don't really care about me. You're just like following a tool set you found. So it's like you have to actually care for people, and it's slow. Again, coming from the guy that did the helicopter Easter egg drop in the 14 Christmas services and all that, like from doing all that, like,
did you drive the helicopter?
I got in a helicopter once. Yeah, it was great. I didn't get to drive it, but
no, I love that. And there's that quote, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Sure.
And it's
Which,
so
again,
true.
good quote.
Yeah,
but you have to live it.
Exactly. And I think, I was telling Dustin last night at dinner, one of the greatest maybe pieces of advice or words of wisdom I ever got. It started. I didn't know it then because it kind of it felt like maybe a critique, but I see it now as a compliment. The very first band I was in, the guitar player looked at me and he said, you don't sing that well, but people really like you and you're really good with people. So you're going to be a great front man for our band. And that's kind of honestly, again, then I was like, wow, that kind of hurt. But what I think he was trying to say is he was touching on what we're talking about today. It's the people piece. If people know that you care for them, they'll follow you. And the other stuff, you don't have to be the greatest vocalist. We've got great vocalists. But if you can just be authentic with people, I heard somebody say the other day, they said, you can pull out your phone and you can hear the greatest vocalist. You can listen to the greatest talk. So us trying to be the greatest singer or speaker may never happen because there's somebody out there that's gonna do it better than that. But what's still sacred and scarce is authenticity. Nobody can be you. So be you and be authentic and care for people and love people. And I think, it is a heart thing. And you said something I want to touch on here in a second, but it is a heart thing. I think you do the spiritual side of it is, Lord, soften my heart, help me love people like you love people. But I think on the practical end, there's a skill, people skills. There's a skill, like if you're not great at it, like, but your heart's open, you can learn. You know what I mean? So you said something one time in a conversation we had, because I think you're a self-proclaimed introvert, maybe.
Maybe, although people keep speaking that against me.
No.
Like I feel like I've even rewired.
Yeah.
And I've been on a journey past 4 or 5 months in life. But yeah.
But you said something one time that because I've heard the excuse, oh, I'm an introvert, so I can't do that. Right. But you said something really powerful about that. Could you share into that?
See if I can remember it. Get over yourself. I mean, first off, but maybe that's not where I left it. But I think we like to label ourselves. Makes it easier, even in relationships. We're like, oh, this is my, attachment style, or this is my Enneagram number. And then I think we can hide behind it. But I do think like the closer I can get to the Lord, the more vulnerable I can be with the Lord and I can be with others. The introversion kind of doesn't matter. Like because it actually comes out of a genuine place of care. Am I hitting the right things?
Yeah.
Is that what I said? I'm trying to remember what I said, but yeah, like if you actually have a care for people, which comes from a care for the Lord and honestly, there's a certain amount of like, if the Lord's broken you in some ways and you're able to expose that neediness to others, it's kind of funny in church, especially we're all kind of playing pretend, acting like we have it all together, and really like none of us have it together.
Yeah.
And it takes somebody exposing that neediness, exposing that hurt, opening that wound again, knowing that like you may very well talk to the wrong person and cause some kind of weird gossip, or like you got to be judicious on how you share it. But being that first person to like, here's where I'm bleeding, kind of opens up others to be like, yeah, me too. Yeah. And then kind of jumps over on introvert, extrovert. And again, it all turns into strategies,
Yeah. Actually, the workshop that I'm leading today is how to have effective one-on-ones with your team.
There you go.
Yeah. And the very first and only point, it's going to be right at the top of my presentation, is you have to care more about the people in the process. And it's coming from a self-admittedly place for probably, I would say, a good 14, 15 years of my 20-year full-time ministry career.
Yeah.
I cared way more about the outcome, the product, the process.
For sure.
The people were just a resource to me to get to the end product that I was hoping to get to.
Right.
And eventually the Lord just broke me of that. There's really no other explanation of it. The Lord just broke me of that. And I've always had a heart for my team, but outside of my team, it was always just like, well, if you're not in my circle, I don't care to know you. And in that way, I was a little bit of an introvert. But speaking of Enneagram, like I'm Enneagram 4. So authenticity is the most important thing to me. And so what I've learned and what I've always known, even when I was part of the problem, is that you can't fake authenticity.
Right.
You can't fake authenticity. And so people have to be able to, if you're not willing to go there, you can't expect people to come there
Right.
and be in that place. I just want honest feedback. I just want clear communication. I just want a no gossip culture. Well, you have to come into that yourself as publicly as you can,
Right.
with the people that you're trying to lead, whether they're staff or they're volunteers. But people overprocess every time, and people can smell a fake a mile away.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
I was just having coffee with a buddy, Curtis Zachary. Shout out, Curtis, if you're watching this. He's CZ.
Curtis and not Sharon. We have 2 viewers.
I'll tag him on it. Well, you can't tag him because he actually doesn't do social media, but he's an author. Anyway, I'll tell you about him later. But we were here having coffee yesterday, day before yesterday. Not that matters. By the time you're reading this, it was maybe 2 weeks ago. Who knows?
Or the raptures happened.
But we were talking about authenticity and how, like, churches are very quickly like, we're an authentic church. And like, it becomes like a buzzword. And we were kind of reflecting on the fact that we only know a few people that work in the church that are actually authentic. And they're not the ones that are going to be like, I'm authentic. It's almost like just being like, I'm authentic kind of turns you into like a shell of what that actually is in the first place.
Yeah. I was going to say too, something you said earlier reminded me, like, no one really knows in the church world what we're doing. I've been out of full-time church ministry now for about 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And I can testify, no one outside of the church world knows what they're doing either. I know I look 51, but I'm 41. And I constantly have this conversation with other fellow professional creatives. That's who I work with, is professional creatives and agencies, and constantly have this, like, the imposter syndrome. Yeah, that kind of hits on it, but it's really just like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And the older I get, the more I realize that no one has any idea what they're doing.
Right.
Which is great, because then you have dependency on the Lord. And it's also great because you're just like, oh, I thought you had it all together.
Yep.
But now I realize, whether you're willing to be honest with me or not, I realize you don't. And that alone, we could be polar opposites. That alone is enough for us to connect in a real authentic way.
Mm-hmm.
That neither of us have zero clue what we're doing in life. I tell my kids that all the time. I have a about to be 15-year-old and a 12-year-old. And they're like, why are you doing this? Or why that? The kids always want to know why. And I'm just like, I don't know. Your mom and I are just trying stuff. I've never parented a 15 and a 12-year-old before, ever. Yeah. I'm brand new at this. I'm not brand new at parenting, but I'm brand new at parenting a 15-year-old boy and a 12-year-old girl. Mm-hmm. So we're just trying stuff. And if it doesn't work, sorry, we'll try something else. Like, we have no idea what we're doing. Wow. And that level of authenticity and honesty and vulnerability with my kids has brought up a lot more conversations and a lot less asking, why this, and complaining, because they realize that, just like you, I don't have it all together either, and that's okay.
Yeah. You guys would like, there's an author named Chip Dodd. Shout out Chip.
Can we tag him? Is he on set?
Yeah, he's on there. Dr. Chip Dodd. He runs a leadership center. Voice of the Heart is the name of the book, and he has a leadership center here, which is like a half an hour away from here. Voice of the Heart Center. But all of that to say, he's 60. What is he? 64, 65? I forget. We just talked to him the other day. Yeah, right. But it basically we're clumsy giraffes trying to ice skate. Like, basically, like recognizing that we're all trying to figure this out is huge. So yeah, highly recommend that book. It's amazing. Voice of the Heart.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I think you're right. Authenticity can be a buzzword. And it's hard to do, right? But I think it really is what's needed. And there's a lot of forgiveness if you don't have the other stuff right, as long as you're, and I love that. That's a parenting hack. I'm going to steal that. I'm going to tell my 9-year-old, I don't know what I'm doing. And I really don't. But I think that's, I think it's honest, and we can lead that way. And I think even too, being honest in the moment, like I was talking to somebody the other day, just about how the kind of the worship fail culture has kind of taken over. Yeah. And, I think because it's real. And I think, people relate to it, and people have said, you know what, let's just pull the curtain back a little bit, and let's just be honest. This just happened. And then people love it because they're like, that happens to me too. Like I posted this, I think you think that's bad. I posted, either that meme, a worship leader gets caught in Endless Bridge. It happened to me like 3 weeks ago. We were doing that Elevation song, I Know a Name, the dead things come alive. And I got stuck in it. I couldn't get out. Like I was like, how many dead things are coming alive today? Like I couldn't get out of it. And our MD was like, just keep going, I'll get us out. And I'm like, and I posted this reel, and finally he goes, chorus 2, 3. And we got back into the chorus, and I got like over 500,000 views, because people were like, this happened to me. This happened to me. Oh, I just did this song. This happened to me, or whatever. Or, and so I think I frame that up to say authenticity works because it's real. And what I think one of the greatest tools that we have, and it's scripture, it's not new, is our story. The Bible says that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb, or the sacrifice of Jesus, and the word of our testimony. So our story, even when our story is messy, is powerful. And so I think if we can live in that space where we don't have it all together, and that's okay, that actually makes us a better leader. But I love that. One more thing I want to touch on, then we'll have a little bit of fun. Off mic, we were talking about just the importance of picking song keys, and we had. I wanted to. This is a curveball I'm going to throw at you, but this is a real conversation that just happened in a staff meeting. We have a church of about 1,200 people on Sunday, and in 3 years, I've never had this problem, and it happened to me. Someone brought a tambourine.
There you go.
On the front row. I mean, they were praising the Lord with this tambourine on the front row, but it was so loud. It was all the vocal mics are picking it up. You could hear it in the click track. This is inside baseball, but the click track sounds kind of like a shaker or a tambourine. And so it was like throwing, like we're like trying to just not, it's kind of a distraction. And we brought it up in our staff meeting, and believe it or not, it was kind of a split conversation. Some people were like, why can't people express themselves in that way? And we were trying to kind of give the reason behind it. But can you talk into that? Like, what would you do? Do you let the tambourine in the door, or do you?
Everything's permissible, not everything's beneficial.
Yeah.
Probably not. We would have, when we would do our church collective conferences, almost always somebody with a flag shows up, and so we would always have a conversation with and we're generally non-denom. Don't regularly have flags at any of the places we would go to. So we would just can you just maybe do that in the back? And they'd be like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Tambourine, another animal. But I would be like,
right.
Yeah, no, it's hard on maybe take it to the back of the room. Might
the
be,
back is good.
If there's enough space for that.
Well, I think, what's great about that. And I think that's a great answer. Hey, we love that. We want you to worship.
Yeah.
Can we place you over here? And what I think that will do is, if their heart's in the right place, they won't care. They'll be like, absolutely.
Yeah.
If their heart is maybe in a different place,
right.
That is.
And for flags, we had both responses with flag waivers. Some of them are great with it. Others no, I got to be in the front. I was like, well, why?
Yeah. When I was I was on the campus praise band. It's now called the Liberty Worship Collective. When I was at Liberty, and so we would play 6 services a week, 3 chapel services, 3 main church services, and we had this girl that would dance, and she would come down in front of 4,500 students, and be in between the front row and the stage, and just dance like crazy. And one time, this is story time with Dustin. One time I was on tour with Charles Billingsley, who was our artist in residence at the time. And we're up late one night in the hotel room watching, this is back when Conan O'Brien had the Late Show. And we're watching Conan O'Brien. And Conan O'Brien used to do weird school mascots, was one of his bits. And I kid you not, you probably find it somewhere. He does these mascots, and he goes, and finally from Liberty University, weird dancing girl. I don't know how he found out about it, but he found out about it. And this person dressed up like her came out and was dancing just like she had done in all of our services or whatever. So I tell that story just because I know you love stories like that. And look at his face. But that's a real thing, and you could probably find that. You could probably find weird dancing girl from Liberty University. Yeah. But we finally had the same conversation with her, and heart was there. She goes, no problem. And so we were kind of like half dome in an arena is where we did all of our stuff at. And so she went from the floor, which was in between first row and the stage. She just went up to the concourse and did it. Mm-hmm. And it was in that way a bit beautiful if you're on stage, because you're looking up like this, where the seats go up like this. And then you in the blurred out distance spot, like beyond all the lights, you see this person dancing for the Lord, and you're just like, that's like a little glimpse of heaven here. That's pretty cool. Yeah. But yeah, I think I agree with Ryan. I think it's I've had the same thing of flags, dancers, tambourines, cowbells, whatever it is. Like, you just go, hey, look, if your heart is right, like, just for us, like, we want you to be able to express yourself in that way. Would you mind going over here and doing it that way? Now, I mean, I think if someone's just like, there has to be a line somewhere, so when we first brought up the topic, I was going to be like, nope, just don't let them in. But that's not really what I meant. I meant just like, what I'm saying is like, yeah, everything's everything's permissible and everything's
Minor
beneficial. And
beneficial,
so just like maybe not shout obscenities. Maybe
Right.
that's your way of you know what I'm saying? Just like, but maybe not do that.
Yeah.
Right. And so everybody has their own thing. But just I think if you meet them, that's what we were talking about earlier. Come towards them, meet them where they're
Right.
at.
Again,
Not just go
actually care about them as a person, and then you
Exactly.
can have all these conversations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're not just going like, you distract, we important, you not.
Right.
Like that's not going to go well. But if you go, hey, beautiful worship, I love that you're expressive in worship. We want to be
time while
we
you're
want to
doing
be an
that.
expressive we want to be an expressive worship church. Unfortunately, that stuff's bleeding through our microphones and it's distracting our band from being able to lead the rest of the congregation. Would you mind at all if we asked you to relocate and do that over here, still in the same room, still want to see it, still all that, you know? And like you said, if the heart's there, the heart's there. And if it's not, then now you have a discipleship moment. It's not a, well, she said no. And no, like a lot of church people get frustrated in that moment. But I think instead you go, oh, thank God, now we have a moment to disciple.
Right.
You have a moment to disciple.
Yep.
That's the golden nuggets we're going after. That's so good. I love that. I'll share this story, then I want to ask some this or that questions as we wrap. But I think just as we're talking about the expressions of worship, I think sometimes if we're not careful, we'll forget that there's a story behind the way somebody may worship.
Yeah.
And we were on tour years and years ago, and we had this guy named Spencer. Well, you know the story?
I'm thinking I know it. So
Okay. But Spencer, and I call him Spinning Spencer when I tell this story, because Spencer would spin literally. I mean, he lived up to his name. And this is back when that song Free to Run was like all the rage, I am free to run. And he would lead it, and he would, I don't know how he did it, but he would hit every note while spinning, leading this song. And somebody said one time, they were like, why does he do all of that? Like, it doesn't take all of that. But what they didn't know about Spencer is that when he was born, he had a heart condition, and they told him that he could never run or move fast, or not. He'd live a normal life. And so when the Lord healed his heart, now he can't be still. And I think sometimes if we're not careful, we'll look at a spinning Spencer and say, hey, it doesn't take all that. And maybe it doesn't, but is he worth all that? Absolutely. So maybe is he worthy? So maybe take the time to have that discipleship moment and maybe hear the story. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, we'll have some fun. This or that. These are hot takes. We'll go you and then you. Whataburger or In-N-Out?
I've never had Whataburger, so I'm from California, so I guess I got to say In-N-Out, but I'm not like, I don't know. It's coming to Tennessee, and I'm not as excited. It's a good burger. Yeah. But it's not like the best burger I've ever had.
Yeah, I've only had In-N-Out twice. I did like it both times. Was not blown away, but it was solid in the pocket. Good. We have Whataburger near me, and I think their condiment game is the best. Spicy ketchup and their mustard is ridiculously good. So, and this just because of proximity of how often I'm able to have it, I'll go Whataburger in this one. But don't come at me with the In-N-Out hate. I love In-N-Out. It's very, very good. It's at Johnny Burkhalter. I'm just kidding.
You can email him at Dustin at Dustin Pead. No kidding. Isn't that? Oh, I email you like all the time. I don't know what it is. It's saved. Okay, this is maybe a little more easy, but it could be a hot take. We'll go you and you. Starbucks or Dunkin'?
Starbucks for, I don't know. I don't think of Dunkin' for coffee.
Donuts.
My gut instinct is neither, because I'm a coffee snob, and both of them are terrible.
That's a fair
But
answer.
if I was forced to choose which one I'm going to get coffee from, I would rather have Dunkin' coffee than I would have Starbucks coffee any day of the week.
All right, last one. And I'm asking everybody this question, and I do it at the end because in case we need to edit or clip, if it goes somewhere that, and so here it is. Here's the question, and I'll tell you why it's so hot. So I was at a restaurant, I was in Orlando a few weeks ago, and a friend of mine was there. He had his kids, and he ordered them water. And while he wasn't looking, one of his kids put Sprite in her water cup. That's what kids do. So we got to talking about it. A, have you ever put? So it's two parts to the question. A, have you ever put Sprite in your water cup? And B, is it a sin?
No, I don't think I have. Can't guarantee my 44 years of life that maybe I didn't at some point, but no, I don't think I have. And of course, it's stealing.
Yeah. Is it,
like a man of God.
yeah. Is it wrong? Absolutely.
Sure.
If my kids are watching, it's wrong. Have I ever done it? I'm sure I have at some point. It's not with Sprite. I was never a Sprite guy.
Just go straight for Coke. Like whatever.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, the
Usually-
workers aren't going to pay attention anyway. They don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with them on that one too. But yeah, I mean, everything's permissible.
I don't know if that's what Paul.
I mean,
They hand you the cup. It's on there.
Right.
yeah, no, I had a few people who straight up said Diet Coke, which is disrespectful. So no, you're not even trying to hide your sin. And then someone said, what's really simple is how much they charge me for my burger. So I'm just hot takes all around. So confirmed it is a sin. Jesus is watching. But thank you, Dustin, Ryan. You can follow them. Tell them we can find you online.
You just go to @Ryan Loche, LOCHE, or Church Collective. You can find us. Yeah.
Nice. Instagram @Dustin Pead, DUSTINPEAD. Find me all there.
You can find me at christianmingle.com. No, I'm kidding. I am kidding. We are farmers. Thank you. That was great. Thank you for watching the Worship Nugs podcast. Like, share, subscribe. Tell your Aunt Sharon. We'll see you next time. Oh, wait. I almost forgot. I've got to close it the way that we've been closing it. And when I do, I'm going to look at you guys. Your reaction will let me know if we continue to do this, okay? Let me back it up. Sorry, Aunt Sharon. Here we go. Thank you for watching the Worship Nugs podcast. We'll see you next time. Stay saucy.